The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 23rd day of June, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Michaela Ian, Larry Marshall Jr., as well as Leanna Lambert, who will be with us a bit later to bring you the latest in her news break. How are you both doing today?
Well, thank you. Very well today.
I'm good.
Well, I hope we're good as well. Well, we have another good one today as we welcome the Minister of Transport, Lawrence Scott, to the show. The Daily Play is a say it, don't sing it. So Michaela will be guessing the lyrics to a song. But I said to someone last night, I said, the pandemic has pretty much taken over our lives in terms of news, conversations, just everything we do. And
Yeah.
I said, before the pandemic, can anyone remember what was going on? Like, there was a health insurance thing with the government. There were, people, talking about sports highlights. I mean, LeBron and the Lakers. There was just so many different things going on. But now, obviously, the Olympics canceled last year. The big conversation that we can't ignore is what was reported yesterday. What the BOA stands for, Bermuda Olympics Association. Am I correct?
Yeah.
The Bermuda Olympic Association. And so quite, I guess, hot topic, interesting topic, but I'm too ignorant to kind of know how to share a perspective that is based on fact. But let's just say, folks, if you haven't read the article, there was an article in the Royal Gazette, and people were obviously talking about it on social media. Ben Smith, who I believe is the head
He's
coach.
the national swim coach.
Okay, yes, head swim coach person at Bermuda swim team, I guess. And basically they're upset, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys can tell me more, that two people who didn't qualify are not being allowed to go to the Olympics. Am I saying this right?
Yes, you're sort of in the right area. Let me help you out a bit. With the Olympics and throughout, it's not just swimming. Over the years, athletes who haven't qualified but are close or meet a standard are able to go through a wild card system. It's universality. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that word correctly, but it's a wild card. And this wild card is in place just to have more countries to be participants at the Olympics. If not, a lot of times we'll just have professional athletes or just made up of the big countries, United States, Australia, Russia, for those things. So in this instance, Bermuda had 0 swimmers to qualify. And I want to say it was FINA, the International Swimming Federation. They granted Bermuda a wild card for our 2 athletes, Jesse Washington and Madeline Moore. As reported, they had a deadline of April 13th, I believe, and then a second deadline of June 20th, where both times the BOA did not accept the wild card on behalf of the 2 athletes. Our question is why?
Yeah, that's the thing that seems a bit funky for me, because I get it, right? So they didn't qualify to make the games. They've been extended this wild card opportunity, which is absolutely incredible. I mean, Bermuda doesn't send a lot of athletes to the Olympics. And from my recollection, it seems as though there's usually more officials than there are actual athletes. So it just seems strange to me that the what is it? BOA?
Yes.
BOA, it's not even that they aren't letting them go. It's they're not even replying. They're not even saying why. They're not they're not giving anyone an explanation. And the story came out yesterday with Ben Smith lamenting the situation, and the BOA didn't reply. There isn't an update in today's Royal Gazette, so I'm assuming they're still silent. And I think that's the biggest issue here is there's no explanation as to why. Is it a funding thing? Do you think it's too last minute? Because I mean, the deadline was first in April, then it was June 4th, then it was June 20th. So it's like, why are we denying these two young athletes an opportunity of a lifetime?
So that's the question that I think many people had, Michaela, including myself. And so I guess the question for the audience today, this morning, is what are your thoughts on the BOA's decision, the Bermuda Olympic Association's decision not to send these athletes on a wild card? Now, I'm going to be very honest. I've been a fan of the Olympics since '92 in Barcelona. Like, I've just been a fan. I've watched almost every Olympics since then. I guess 2012 was probably my favorite. That when Usain Bolt mashed it up. So I'm a big fan, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That said, I had never heard of the wild card until the boxing documentary 2 weeks ago. I had never heard of it. But I did just get a text with some information that may help opinions. The question to the audience is, what are your thoughts on the BOA's decision? I was going to play devil's advocate and say, is it because the BOA, because let me give you two perspectives I had immediately. One is that the BOA doesn't want to send people just to send people, right? They want to send the best people if they're able to compete on a certain level. However, then on the other side, I'm thinking, well, maybe if you get them out, like I'm thinking football learn system, right? If you watch football, there's a learn system, right? And the purpose of sending players on a learn is so that they gain the experience so they can come back and they got that experience top level, come back and contribute. So the information I just got says that Jesse is ranked 908th in the world, and that Maddie is ranked 216th in the world. Now, I don't know if this is the justification, but that was just provided to us to give context of the two athletes, meaning, I guess, just because they're the best Bermuda has doesn't mean that they should be on the biggest stage backed by the BOA. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, the ranking, I don't think has much to do with it because they still qualified to be a wild card based on participation in the 2019 swim meet, World Championship, sorry. And I think if the FINA Association recognized those two and said that, that's fine. To further go on, I have a issue with, okay, we're saying we only can support when you're at the top or when you're elite, but to get to that level, you need support. For me to be a professional athlete, and of course I use track and field, I need resources. So it's not a matter of hard work or whatnot. There's people working hard, but they don't have the chiropractors, the strength and conditioning coaches, the access to the gym, unless they're paying out of pocket, which of course in Bermuda is astronomical. They're not able to get away to camps and access to higher coaching and different levels of competitions. So this opportunity, actually, Jess is 900. Who's to say that he has a good showing and a coach from Australia says, you know what, I want you to come train with me? We don't know. So if it's a funding issue, I get it. But if it's just, no, they're not good enough, I have a hard problem because the Olympics is more about the world celebration through sport. And we've had moments in Olympic history where the man running, he tore his hamstring and came dead last, and he was running down the runway with his father. The Jamaican bobsled team was nowhere near winning, and they flushed out, and it's consistently shown with all four of those Jamaican men walking that bobsled down. Those are iconic Olympic moments, and we don't know what we're denying. If it's about funding, I get it, but you cannot deny, well, it's already been done, unfortunately, but I don't agree with denying just based on, oh, they're not ranked high enough and whatnot. Give them a chance.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that point of view. I just can't imagine how these two swimmers feel right now. Like, I can't imagine the heartbreak, the disappointment, and having your future decided by a committee, a committee who hasn't even bothered to give you a reason
Yeah.
as to why they're not allowing you to go and participate. And the thing about it is, yes, there are people who are going to say, oh, well, they're not the best in the world. They didn't really qualify. Well, no, they've been given this wild card to go and compete and possibly change their lives by getting in an environment where the best swimmers, the best athletes in the entire world are there. And that's life-changing. That's transformational. So it seems cruel to me to deny these two young Bermudian athletes this opportunity. And if funding is an issue, like, why aren't you appealing to the public? They had April, like they had a deadline in April. That was over 2 months ago. And then again, the beginning of June. So it's just like, if it's a funding issue, why not appeal to the wider community? I'm sure money could have poured in to help these two if that's the issue.
If that's the issue. And we don't know if that's the issue, and that's the sad part. And to put it in context, when I trained under the 2004 U.S. Olympic coach, that was my college coach in track and field, and by week 1 was finished, my mentality had changed because I had Olympians from Barbados, United States, Trinidad. I couldn't come with a next level or a lackadaisy type of thing. It was big business, and it was simply because the environment was changed a bit different. And injuries came. I don't know what happened. You can always say what if, but my mentality changed just from being in that environment.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. Like, go ahead, Jamal.
No, go ahead, Kels.
I was just going to say, like, if we look back to America's Cup and the amateur Bermuda sailors who've gotten incredible opportunities as a result of the America's Cup being in Bermuda, there's a girl who was training with the team. I think her name is Emily Nagel, I want to say, and she was competing in Sail GP. Like, she was an amateur sailor 5 years ago, and now look at her because she was given an incredible opportunity to train with the best in the world. So I just feel like, why are we denying these two young athletes the same kind of opportunity?
Yeah, I did get a text from a journalist. They basically, it says that the athletes are aware of the reasons. The BOA has not made those reasons public. Want to go to the audience and pretty much, I think probably the public has a right to know. Though, I mean, especially if it's taxpayer funded, right? If they do, if they are backed. Now, the question for the audience, and I'll get to as many questions and comments as possible. Do you agree with the BOA's position on this? Yes or no, based on what you know? I mean, it looks like Talent TJ Clark saying BOA not making a statement leaves us to guess. If it's funding, then I'm sure these athletes could get support if needed. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure with the amount of unhappiness amongst Bermudians right now, there's a corporate sponsor that will come forward. I'm not quite sure it's funding when you look at the places that what was it, the ranking we just discussed?
Yeah, but the thing about it is, when you don't put out a statement, that's bad PR. That's bad PR because you are inviting speculation. Yes. You know what I mean? You're inviting the entire community to make educated guesses on why you didn't make this decision or why you prevented these athletes. So I know a lot of times people are like, oh, just don't say anything. And that's actually the wrong approach. You should be putting out a statement.
Yes.
I agree.
And I'm also okay with if the BOA says, look, you guys, you're a bit off right now. We want to back you, but right now it's not the time.
Right.
We're going to get back for you for 2024. What do you need from us? And I don't know if that conversation was here because really you also, I said what I said earlier, but I do understand you don't want to put some people in a big competition and they're not ready.
Yeah.
Right? They may crack, they may do this and whatnot because I get that. But has the conversation been had on how do we now back you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, as you guys know, I'm never this quiet, but I'm really, I guess, trying to understand it. As many strong opinions as I have, I really try not to share them if I'm not well-rounded on the subject. So like Michaela, I am in the same boat as you. I have more questions than answers. Larry, you've been in that space in terms of, you're a scholar, college athlete. You have a great understanding of this from the amateur, what makes a person an amateur versus professional in the Olympics and so on. I'm just of the mindset, based on the little I know, and trust me, folks, I'm going to get to the questions and comments. Based on the little I know, I just believe I'm looking at it, and again, I could be ignorant as can be, as a learn system. I'm sticking with that. I think the purpose of learn system in football is to get that person the experience. Maybe the BOA has said, no, we've sent so many people over the years, and it's not been nothing but a vacation for them. So maybe that's their reasoning. Let's go. Janae Pereira, Edness, Larry.
Look, if there's a problem with funding, I'm sure Bermudians will rally behind to raise the funds. Simple.
Yeah. Bobby saying, Kels.
They were accepted as wildcard entries at the Olympics. These two young Bermudians are the island's only hope for swimming in the Olympics. The BOA denying them for what? No wonder the youth have no faith in this island. Sad and shameful. I tend to agree with that.
Bobby Singh also says they're denied an experience of a lifetime. Who cares with a rank? Janae Pereira Edna says anything can happen on race day. Sports is unpredictable. I believe that. I mean, in my mind, I was been in Bermuda Day Marathon many times.
Hey, me too.
Y'all has just got to throw shit. Like I thought I had that one. Carla John says Larry is right. I hadn't thought of the exposure they would get in front of athletes and coaches from all around the world. Yeah, opportunities. I agree with that.
Yeah, and the thing is also when you're in that environment, you're around people who are where you want to be. You know what I mean? And that's key because we cannot get to where we want to go if we're not seeing people who are there. If those sort of people, and this applies to every area of life, if those sort of people are not in your proximity, you're not going to be able to see what's possible. If they were to go to this and, meet other young swimmers, forge friendships, relationships with them, that's a whole mindset thing, like Larry talked about in the beginning. And then suddenly Madeline could be like, oh my goodness, I could have more. I could be more. I could, have a higher rank or whatever it is just by proxy.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Larry.
I would like to just highlight, we don't understand the impact that this can have on the athletes. And I can share, when I was 17, I was 16, sorry, I qualified for the Carifta Games. And they had a meeting and they decided not to send me. I didn't train under the national coach, and that was the policy back then. You can't tell a 16-year-old that I made the time and I'm not doing it. I held on grudges for 16 years. I wasn't into my mid-30s. I hated a certain individual, and whenever his name came up, I shouldn't even said his, but it stuck with me. And Madeline's 21, and I think Jess is 21 or 22. I remember Jessie from when I worked at Sands. We don't know the impact that this has with this. They will be asking themselves questions. Other teams get wild cards. Why not us? You know what I mean? So I want to encourage these guys because it's going to be very difficult. They may not want to watch the Olympics, but you just got to keep pressing on, and hopefully they get the backing that they want. And at the end of the day, if they're good enough, if they're not, they gave it up for a shake.
All right, let's go to two more comments before we bring Liana into it. Karen Edward Simmons says, we don't know what the conversation was with the athlete. Speculation is why the public is making assumptions and leaving a bad taste for Bermudians. And I think, maybe the BOA will release something today, but this is why it goes back to Michaela. I mean, PR, like it can become a disaster simply by saying no. But the question before we bring Liana in, the question, do you agree with the BOA's decision? We don't know why they made the decision, but do you agree with their decision not to send these athletes that, according to, I just brought it up, I don't know what these acronyms mean, so forgive me if you have questions, but this is a post by Ben Smith, the swimming coach. The IOC, FINA, UANA,
FINA,
CCCAN, and Bermuda Swimming want Maddie and Jessie at the Tokyo Games. These two young Bermudians have worked hard, stayed focused, and have become the role models that the country asks for. Why would the Bermuda Olympic Association deny them? So that's the question that Mr. Smith, the swimming coach, has put. Do you agree with the decision by the BOA not to send these two swimmers? Sean Smith's asking a question. Are they sending any other athletes to the games? My thought is Flora Duffy, but do you have any word on that, either of you?
Yes, I know it's Floor Duffy and a jumper in horseback ride. It slipped my name. And I
I
know
don't know.
Janai Parent Chief that just won the.
Right. Is he competing?
He is very close to the standard. Now, it would be interesting if he was to get a wild card. That one's a no-brainer. He's centimeters away from from making the qualifying mark. So I guess the argument of being 900 something place or 200 something in the world doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily go, because he's one of few men to cross 17 meters in triple jump.
Well, let's bring Liana into the convo. Lee, this is a hot one here. I'm not sure if you're a track star or not. You actually look like one. You look like one, but
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You
got it.
Okay.
That's sad, Larry. That is so sad. You don't know my history.
But no, this was a hot one, Lee.
It
I don't know if
was.
you have anything to add to it.
Only when I read the article yesterday, when it had came out, and the only thing I could say on it is that it was heartbreaking to see that these athletes are being denied the exposure to be able to just even have a taste of what world class and what the world class stage looks like. And when Michaela said it, this applies to every industry, not just athletes. When I went away to school and I was able to, secure employment after receiving my degree, having had that exposure, and like she said, being around people that this is it's a great thing. It's definitely a great thing to be around like-minded people that are competing for the top. And when you deny that to young athletes, like Larry said, that could leave a bad taste in their mouths and wanting to pursue.
Yeah,
Well,
and for years and years and years.
Being around you all makes me feel elite and makes me feel better. So on that look, last you all have got me feeling like I'm a carnival star. So I mean, let's go to the news break, Lee, and then we'll be back. We have the movement moment. We're going to do that after the conversation with the minister. Larry, I think you're going for the day. Thank you for not making me look as bad. She made me look bad too, because she had more knowledge. She fools me. She made me seem like she had no knowledge of this, but she's a quick learner, and then it's just me. But over to you, Lee.
Thanks, Jamal, Michaela, and Larry, and good morning to all of our listeners tuned in with us this morning. I hope everyone is having a great start to their day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for our Daily Hour news break. Now, taking a look at today's top stories, the island recorded 2 new coronavirus cases, with the source of both having been imported from passengers overseas. Now, one was a non-resident on an American Airlines flight from Charlotte last Saturday who tested positive on arrival. The other, also a non-resident, arrived on the Delta flight from Atlanta last Tuesday and tested positive on day 4. Now, there are a total of 9 active infections, with all being monitored by the public health officials. 3 people have so far recovered since the last update. Health Minister Kim Wilson said that government will restart first doses for those persons who wish to be vaccinated. Meanwhile, a 33-year-old man was in critical condition in hospital after the car he was a passenger in overturned on National Heroes Day weekend. Now, police say the man was in intensive care at King Edward Memorial Hospital after the crash, which happened in the early hours of Monday morning. The spokesperson said that the incident happened after an alleged assault in Eastdale Lane in Southampton. The alleged assault victim managed to escape in a car driven by a 31-year-old woman from St. George's. Now, the vehicle apparently overturned, trapping the 33-year-old man underneath. Now, he remains in hospital in critical condition in the intensive care unit. The female driver, on the other hand, sustained injuries that were less serious in the crash. Now, this incident was just one of 16 crashes logged by police over the long weekend. A 21-year-old Sandsman is also in intensive care with internal and head injuries after he lost control of his bike and crashed into a wall That crash happened in Southampton in the early hours of Sunday morning. And then a 17-year-old from Sands also needed hospital treatment after two cars were collided in Somerset Road. He was later arrested on suspicion of impaired driving and released on police bail. Now, from Friday, June 18th through Monday, at least 77 tickets were issued for traffic offenses. Meanwhile, a broken water main has cut supplies to customers. The fracture, said to be on Middle Road near Mosquito Hill and Smiths, has interrupted the water to customers east of the Middle Road junction with Hermitage Road. Customers affected include businesses and residents in the Flats, Shelley Bay, and Redner Road areas, including Dunkley's Dairy and the Bermuda Aquarium, Museum, and Zoo. A government spokesperson said that a team from the Water and Sewage section of the Public Works Ministry were working to fix the damage and that normal service was expected to resume on Thursday. Customers who are in need of water during this period are advised to contact a water trucking services. And if you recently received your vaccine certificate via email, you might want to verify if it's the real deal. Government officials are saying that if you have received an email from islandtran@ibl.bm or conbea@northrock.bm, they ask that you review the new instructions regarding COVID-19 vaccine certificates. You must delete it and ignore it. Now, officials say that emails related to COVID-19 vaccine certificates are sent from the government of Bermuda COVID-19 response team at Bermuda COVID vaccine at request.com. Now, you can also contact the vaccine hotline on 444-2498 and select option 2 or email vaccine certificates at gov.bm. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 84 and a low near 76 degrees. Today will be mostly sunny. The warm and humid southwesterly breeze transitions to an easterly breeze by Thursday with a dip in humidity, though a slight increase in shower chances will occur. Now, the easterly breeze will increase towards Friday and Saturday with the continued chance for a shower or two, but yet still fair as we succumb to general high pressure. That's all for our Daily Hour news break. Let's head back to Jamel and Michaela in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
Alrighty, thanks so much, Lee. Appreciate that. We're a bit behind, so we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, guys, have a good one.
You as well.
Bye.
Alrighty. Going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We have the Minister of Transport, Lawrence Scott, coming on, and then we have the movement moment a bit later. And we also have the Daily Play that you don't want to miss. I'll leave it at that. We'll be right back. Stick with us.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
John Barrett & Son, Bermuda's favorite distributor of fine beverages, has brought us a new and refreshing thirst quencher just in time for the approaching warm weather. Hint Water in 7 luscious flavors. Hint Water is slaking the thirst of active people who need pure hydration, low on the glycemic index, and want the kind of taste experience that keeps them coming back to try the next flavor. For those who've been giving water a miss, Hint may win you over. Hint Water. No sugar, no additives, all flavor. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Welcome back to the Big Show. Michaela and Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can watch this and many other locally produced shows. As stated, we have the Minister of Transport, Minister Lawrence Scott, joining us. Good morning, Minister. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming. So let's jump right into the conversation. Just for those who don't know, because this has been a term that's been popular since, I guess transport and tourism has realized that we need to make getting people to the island a priority. And they focused on cruise ships, particularly in many sectors and conversations. What exactly is homeporting?
So homeporting is when a cruise line decides to make a place their home, meaning this is where they will have customers embark and debark and disembark. So Miami is a home port, Manhattan is a home port, Bahamas is a home port. So basically anywhere we Bermudians would fly to get on a ship, that is a home port.
Got it.
Okay, that makes sense. So can you tell us why government is focused on home porting?
Well, and that's a good question. It's focused on home porting because for a long time our cruise visitors outpaced our air visitors, and we needed to find a way to rebalance the scales. And so with home porting, our air visitors become our cruise visitors, and our cruise visitors are our air visitors.
Okay, that's a really interesting explanation, and it definitely makes it make sense. So how will home porting benefit Bermuda?
So it benefits Bermuda because air visitors spend more, and it divides their spending power amongst the entire tourism and hospitality industry, but also it creates jobs. We are anticipating this one ship to have at least 12 to possibly $20 million of economic stimulus to the country and create at least 50 to 60 temporary part-time new jobs.
I want to just jump in real quick, Niels. I just remember, because I've been on 2 cruises, and both of those cruises, I actually had to fly into Puerto Rico, right? And so yes. I always wondered when I was, and the excuse that I would make myself believe, no one told me this, is the reason Bermuda didn't do home porting was because we're so far away from other islands. Is there any truth to that?
No, there's truth to that. When people go on a cruise, they want to visit as many destinations in as little time as possible. And given our geographical location, we are days away from the nearest next port. And this is why the Viking model, which is very unique to the industry, really works for Bermuda, meaning the cruise to nowhere. So you actually have Bermuda as the destination, Bermuda as the attraction, and we make Bermuda look as big as possible over the course of a week.
Okay. Can you tell us, I just want your opinion here. So does government believe that tourists are going to fly here, stay in a hotel, and then go and get on a cruise? And why or why not? Like what are the thoughts there?
We do believe it, and our belief has come to fruition. We had 398 people come in on the first cruise. We had 404 people come in on the cruise that actually left yesterday, or actually leaves today. We believe it because right now, with the pent-up demand for travel, everybody is looking for that new niche, that new something, that new experience. And this way they get to go on a cruise and go to an exotic destination all at the same time.
Okay. I just remember there were conversations years ago, and I'm talking about like when Dr. Brown was the Premier and Minister of Tourism, and there was a lot of criticism around cruise ships, and they're spending, I think it was like an average of $100 or something like that, their time here. So wouldn't it make more sense for government and the Ministry of Transport to focus on air passengers instead of home porting, since the ROI seems to be a bit higher? I mean, I could be off base, but like, I'm sure our audience wants to know this.
Well, the thing is I totally follow the logic behind what you just said, Michaela. But the catch is, and the way we look at it, is that the numbers, the economy is a scale. With the numbers of people that cruise to Bermuda traditionally, if we get just a small percentage, we had roughly 500,000 to 600,000 cruise visitors pre-pandemic. If we got just a small fraction of that coming in by air, they will stay in the hotels, they will take the tours, they go into our restaurants, they stay longer, then they go on the cruise, and then even on the cruise there are passenger taxes and fees that we get. So we have to look at things differently, and we believe that COVID is a great equalizer, where now is the time to debut a new model and a new product.
So with the passengers that are coming in specifically for this Viking cruise around Bermuda, can you give us an idea of how long they're staying on island on average in the front end and the back end?
We are seeing on average a day and a half on either side. So they'll come in a day, 2 days early. and they'll stay an extra day, 2 days on the other end.
Okay. So it's kind of like the same as if someone flew in on a Friday and flew out on the Monday kind of thing.
Correct. Yeah. And
Okay.
the thing is that what happens is with Viking are their passengers are they have a lot of disposable income. They are very actually wealthy passengers. That's their product model, and that also dovetails into Bermuda's national tourism plan in trying to attract jet setters.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I totally understand it now. I feel like you've kind of like demystified homeporting. So what's government's long-term goal here?
So our long-term goal is to grow our homeporting, especially with the Viking model, but also to dovetail that into our air service development strategy.
Mm. And you mentioned air travel development strategy. What does that look like? Because obviously you're focused on growing the cruise ship part of it. What's the next steps as far as air travel? Does that come under your scope?
Yes, it does. And so the next step is for the ministry is taking on an initiative to serve the underserved. And for a very long time, most of our history, our air travel has been tourist, visitor, tourism driven. We believe now that we need to shift our focus on a locally driven market, which will then transition over to becoming tourist markets. What do I mean by that? So the Air Azores flight, we decided to look at the cultural makeup of the country and decide on new routes based off of where Bermudians culturally are from and the connections we have. So Azores, the Caribbean, the Middle East, and we are even now exploring, doing our initial explorations into West Africa via the African Diaspora Trail.
Wow.
I'd love to hear that.
Wow. That's very, very interesting, very appealing.
Indeed.
I like it.
It always seemed like travel was never about the local, but I think the local is your best seller, right? Always said.
Yeah.
Someone said it recently on this show that Bermudians are the greatest tourist ambassadors, like can sell it. So I love to hear that. A question from the audience, Sheikha Reina, as a home port, where are the supplies for the ship being stored?
Actually, the supplies for the ship they do have storage on the ship, but they're actually being brought from the local suppliers here on island. And that's what we mean by the economic impact. So all your suppliers, all the supplies, whenever you go, all of us that have been on cruise ships know that we have the buffet, we have everything. All of the supplies are bought and sourced here in Bermuda.
Oh, that's good for the economy right there.
Very.
Reina, follow-up question. Will the boarding process and dockyard be built/expanded to accommodate the boarding process?
They're actually boarding out of Hamilton. So Hamilton is the actual home port for this initial Viking model. We are looking to expand it in future years to other ports around the island.
Okay. The questions are coming in, and if you have any questions or comments, I'll try to get to as many as possible. Again, I say it all the time. Don't be offended if we don't get to you. It is a short show, daily hour. Talent TJ Clark, will Viking consider coming to St. George?
Viking is currently going to St. George's, but they are going to be dropping anchor in Murray's Anchorage, and they will be tendered into St. George's. Unfortunately, the ship is too large to fit into the harbor itself.
Alrighty. Rick Olson makes a statement, says, our problem, hotels can't compete with cruise ships, even premium lines like Viking. Is this a concern for your ministry?
No, actually what we're doing, we're marrying the two. Cruise ships used to be seen as competitors to hotels. Now they're partners because the customer has to come in a day early. They can't stay on the cruise ship because the cruise ship's out to sea. So they stay in a hotel. If the cruise ship wasn't here, the customer wouldn't be here either to stay in the hotel in the first place. So they're actually mutually beneficial partners in this.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense because I've only been on one cruise, and it was a Mediterranean cruise out of Barcelona almost 2 years ago. And when we booked, they gave us plenty hotel partners, hotel options. And we actually were in Barcelona, I want to say 2 days before, and then a day on the back end because I love Barcelona. So it was like a win-win for the cruise ship and then the hotel.
Yeah, and that's what we like, because especially the Viking model, and this is why we went with Viking, because the fact that Viking is very culturally immersive. They really want to get to know the real Bermudian culture. They do cultural expansion tours and the like, and so those persons that come Viking will most likely come back as a regular air visitor later on in the next, well, our demographic show in the next 24 to 36 months.
Alrighty. Quinnell Francis asking, so will Bermuda be allowing RCL, that's Royal Caribbean Line, I believe, as they have noted they will have both vaccinated and unvaccinated passengers?
We will not be allowing Royal Caribbean into Bermuda if they are doing the fully vaccinated model, they will be allowed. If they are doing partially vaccinated, they will not be allowed, and that has been communicated to them, and they are looking at which ships they can bring under the fully vaccinated model.
All right. A very interesting question. This is a good one. Carlo John said, asking, will Bermuda be responsible for taking care of the garbage and toxic waste from cruise ships?
So we are responsible. We are not responsible for taking it, but they will be unloading garbage here on island, and it will go through our traditional sanitation process.
Alrighty. And I want to go back. And I wanted to ask something similar to this. And Teresa Brantano asking, why would anyone risk their, I believe she means investment under current COVID regulations, with a positive test in flight passenger causing them to be grounded for 2 weeks? Now, obviously, there is that part of it, right? And there has been some, I guess, is it bad feedback? Is that what I want to say? Some regarding traveling to Bermuda right now. Is transport working to with the government, other department? I guess, is transport working with national security and health to make sure that the visitor gets the best experience? And what are some of the things being done, if so?
Yes, we are. We're a team. We win together, we lose together, and so we have to make sure that everybody is successful. And so what the Ministry of Transport is doing, and we'll talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to the travel authorizations that had an issue this last weekend. TAs have been in place for over a year, and only this weekend did we have an issue with it. And so the government has gone in, and technology is a wonderful thing until it's not. Meaning that we love technology until it doesn't work. So we had a glitch this weekend. We have gone and rectified it. The Ministry of Transport has reached out to the airlines to explain to them what's going on and to ask their support in helping us move forward with making sure that Bermudians and visitors alike are not unnecessarily denied boarding.
I think what Teresa was probably getting at here is that there was a couple who were visiting Bermuda for their 35th anniversary this past weekend. They were vaccinated, had a negative test on arrival, tested when they got here, and then apparently someone on the plane tested positive and they were instructed to quarantine. So I kind of think that's what she's getting at.
Okay, and for me, that's under our COVID regulations, and we have to all admit that we all agree in the objective of keeping our borders safe and making sure that we don't have the introduction of a new variant. And these are the policies that go in place. And it's unfortunate that the couple were negatively impacted like that. When it comes to anything more about the COVID policy, it might be better. That might be a question better suited for the Minister of Health.
Yeah.
Definitely an elephant in the room, because in one sense, we are talking about transportation to the island. And then there's the other aspect of what's currently taking place, and you don't want to work hard in one space and then it kind of be like Michaela just explained, have people visiting, and then the experience is like, okay, we're in trouble. We can't get people on the flights or cruise ships because of the experience of their friend or someone else in the city that I live in. Because people, unfortunately, people do talk, and people do go to, with social media right now. You don't even need to go to a news station, or you need to just type something in less than 240 characters, and it can go viral, and it becomes this thing. And so there's some downsides to this. Donna Ingham says, I have been on numerous cruises, and at all times we take the cruise on vacation at the home port. So congratulations to you, Minister. Is there anything you want to say to people as it relates to new flights and cruise ship opportunities? Like what should Bermudians be? We haven't had much to be happy about over the last 13, 14 months, right? What can you say that will give them hope that we are turning over a new leaf?
Okay, well, one, homeporting is a big win for the country. It puts us in another light, and it has actually caused us to be on other cruise lines' radar. So what you will see is you will most likely see new cruise lines that you've never seen before here in Bermuda. When it comes to air travel, you will also we've already seen the Azores airline flight. We are working diligently to try to meet our internal goal of having a Caribbean flight by the end of this year. We are looking to do the charter flights to both Dubai and West Africa in next year. And we are also in a very unique spot. And I have to be very mindful of how I say this because I don't want to give away too much. But we are also in a position that can put Bermuda in a place where we can become a founding member, or create the foundation of the next commercial transportation frontier. So, and the sky's the limit, or even maybe beyond the stars, something along those lines. If you can read between the lines there.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't. I'm slow, but let's move on. Camilo Scotland says, "Please don't play the glitch. Please don't play down the glitch. Majorly impacts the confidence one has in traveling to Bermuda at the moment."
And to be honest, I'll take that one on. I'm not downplaying it. For somebody who myself recently traveled, had an issue with my travel authorization, I know what it is. I know how it feels. I know the frustration that comes about it. But the one, and if I can say a travel hack, is when you have an issue, something like that, if you're to Bermuda and something goes wrong with your TA, go up to the agent and ask them to consult or look into their Timatic system. Timatic is a system that is updated by IATA, and IATA gets the information directly from the government. So if somebody says you can't come on because of this, and Bermuda, and you disagree, tell them to go into Timatic, and that should help rectify the situation. So it's not necessarily downplaying the glitch. It's accepting that something went wrong this weekend, and also showing that we have quickly and responsively fixed the issue.
Alrighty, and just want to read Kamiko Scotland's comment again. I pretty much messed it up. She said she was telling the minister, provide a statement saying, please don't downplay the glitch. It majorly impacts the confidence one has in traveling to Bermuda at the moment. So apologies, Kamiko, for that. Minister, on that note, honestly, we hope to have you back more often for these kind of conversations. I think it's important to have you communicating directly to the people, especially in times like these. So appreciate you for joining us today. And hopefully you can come back more often to provide context of what's going on, not just directly in your ministry, which covers a lot as it pertains to how the economy can recover, but also just in general, the government of Bermuda.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it, and thanks for taking out the time.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
All right. Minister Lawrence Scott, thank you so much, Minister of Transport there. Really, really interesting conversation as far as cruise ships and Michaela, obviously I worked in tourism, so what you said was very valid, and I think Rick Olson in the comments touched on it about the money that cruise ships traditionally spend.
Yeah, no, I think it's good to know that the people who are coming down are doing a day and a half on the front end and a day and a half in the back end. And I mean, these are luxury travelers. Maybe they're staying in St. Regis, maybe they're at Rosewood, maybe they're having this beautiful luxury experience before they even get on the boat. So yeah, I'm here for it.
Indeed. We're going to play the movement moment right now. Do not go anywhere. We are going to have the daily play after that and then speak to you about the rest of the week. If you haven't already, please go to our YouTube channel and make sure you subscribe. And folks, if you don't follow us on Instagram, what are you waiting for? Trust me.
What are you doing?
Sure, a lot of good content from Michaela on there almost daily. So make sure you go and follow us at the Daily Hour right now. By the time this movement moment's over, make sure you follow us on Instagram and make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Daily Hour. We have a from our guest this Friday. Well, has probably got his boxing gloves on because he comes to fight. MP Famous, we'll see you on Friday. Let's go to the movement moment and we'll be back after this.
This movement moment brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Together, we can illuminate your path to wellness.
Welcome to today's movement moment with Tamara Donnell, brought to you by People's. Tamara, what are we discussing today?
Good morning, Jamal. Today we are carrying on with our discussion about this month's power, heat, the power of the sun. And today it's important that we talk about some of the benefits to the human body and to our health from the sun. Without adequate sun, our serotonin levels have been shown to dip. I believe it used to be called seasonal affective disorder. There's probably a new, more a name that captures more of what happens now, but it's well known that in colder, darker climates, there's a sort of a seasonal depression that creeps in when the days are shorter. So when the sunlight hits the retina, it triggers our brain to release serotonin. And if you've been following the movement moments in March, we touched on the importance of serotonin as one of our happiness hormones. It regulates our moods. It helps keep us calm and focused. And so there is an extreme need for the body, for the mental health, for sun exposure. Now, of course, so much has been said in the media about the dangers of the sun. We've all been bombarded almost with commercials about skin cancer and the dangers that come from prolonged sun exposure. I simply want to bring balance to that conversation to talk about some of the benefits that come from exposure to the sun. I believe it was last month, May, that we talked about the sleep-wake cycle and how important sunlight is to that body's internal clock. So sunlight is extremely important for improved sleep. It's important to help combat depression, again, linked to that release of serotonin. It's important for an optimized immune system. In the previous 2 weeks, we've talked about vitamin D3 and the new evidence that suggests how important it is to immune health. We've talked about how the sun is what helps the skin synthesize vitamin D3. So obviously, exposure to the sun would be important for immune health because of its relation to vitamin D3. Because of the vitamin D3 being produced from the sun, it's also very important to reduce the risk of some other cancers in the body. It's important for stronger bones, which is well known. Vitamin D3 is what helps the body to absorb calcium. So that's where the bone health comes into play. It's important to help in weight loss. And it's also very important to help improve brain function. So with that in mind, it's very important that we always balance risk and reward. There are risks from sun exposure, but there are also tremendous rewards. So just make sure this month to go outside and play in the sun, but just to do it in a safe, healthy, and moderate way.
Thank you for tuning into this movement moment. To enjoy the benefits of the full episode, check us at Instagram at MVMT with Tamara Donnell or at People's BDA.
Tune in to the Full 100 Radio every Tuesday through Sunday at 7 p.m. Bermuda time as we bring you the love, romance, sexiness with nighttime jams. Only on your station for conversations and entertainment. The Full 100 Radio. Download the app available for Android and Apple devices.
Welcome back to the Daily Hour. She's Michaela Ian. I'm Jamal Hart. And thanks again to Medical House Lindo's, One Communications, and our friends over at Channel 82 for ensuring that we're able to do this with you. It's Daily Playtime. Before we do that, if you enjoyed today's conversation about the BOA and with the Minister of Transport, you know what to do. Give us a thumbs up, a like. Let us know that you enjoyed it. We appreciate your support. The Daily Play brought to you by Heineken 0.0, great taste and no alcohol. Are you ready, Michaela?
I am. You just kill me every time you say that because it's like such black boy joy on your face as you talk about this amazing Heineken Zero. Like you talk about it like I talk about rosé.
Yeah, I didn't realize I had one every night before bed. It's almost like an addiction at this point. Here we go. Here's the one today, folks. Help her out. It's a song, a very popular song. Quote, looking out across the nighttime, the city winks a sleepless eye, end quote.
Is this an old people song? I'm young, okay?
Put it this way here. There's been quite a few, what do they say, remakes of this. There's quite a few remakes of this song. It's a very famous song.
No.
Wow, someone.
I'm gonna be like, oh my goodness, when people say human nature.
Arena got it right on.
Yes. Okay.
We're going. Wow, y'all are good. I knew I would get Michaela on this. I'm like, I think if I did the tune, she'd have got it. Like looking out.
Is that the chorus?
No, that's actually the first two lines of the song.
Yeah, no.
So I thought you got it from looking out because there's
yeah. Okay. It didn't register.
Yeah. So we got it. We got it. What were your thoughts on
today? You do good on this.
Yeah, you do.
I've only missed one.
So you know what? Though? I think you've gotten every one besides today. What other one didn't you get?
I didn't get the Whitney Houston one, which was like ridiculous.
Was that I Will Always Love You?
I Will Always Love You. I didn't get that one.
Oh, so we stumped on that too. So I think we got it. Human Nature was probably from the 80s. Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You was from the 90s. So if we go 80s, 90s, we got it, folks. We've got it.
Ay.
What are your final thoughts?
I can't even say nothing.
We got you. What are your final thoughts on today's episode?
I love Tamara's movement moment. Like, I think it's so important for us to get that vitamin D. Like, I'm a big proponent of being out in the sun, enjoying it, but with protection. Like, I wear SPF every single day. And even though we are melanated, we still need it. So when you're in the sun, you go to the beach, put that SPF on, have a hat on, put some shades on. When you're going for a walk in the morning, make sure you spray yourself with your SPF as well, because skin cancer is real, people. Let's get the sun, but let's also protect ourselves.
Yeah, honestly, be careful with it. I appreciate that as well. I appreciate all of what she's doing with that. But I just remember growing up, we were always, told about the bad parts about the sun, never really the important parts of the sun. So I appreciate that. Yeah. As far as the BOA part of the conversation, again, as I stated earlier with Larry and yourself, I believe in the loan system from football. So, I don't know if the Olympic Association is going to have a rethink or if their decision's final, but I would support them sending them for the experience. I understand that, the Olympics isn't a meet or whatnot. So whatever response they give through the public, I guess I'll have to understand and respect that. But hopefully this is not the end of that conversation. As far as reporting, look, at the end of the day, I'm all for whatever's going to inject, the revenue into the economy, whatever's going to help Bermuda without putting Bermudians in a bad space. So if it's going to work and help Bermudians long term, I am all for it.
I absolutely agree. I mean, Lord knows we need to be open and we need those numbers. We need our hotels to stay open and our people to be employed. So if that's going to do it, hey, let's do it.
For sure. You got some daily inspiration for us, Kels?
I sure do. This is from Theodore Roosevelt. Believe you can, and you're halfway there.
Like
It's all
that.
mindset, folks. Everything you want to do in life is mindset. If you actually believe you can do it, you can do it. But it starts with you. So let's go do it.
Self-belief, folks. Like I said, if you enjoyed today's conversation, BOA, the Minister Lauren Scott, Tamara's Movement Moment, make sure you give us a thumbs up, a like, a love. We appreciate you. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Linda's for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. If you haven't already, please be sure to like and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, I think we'll be back tomorrow with
We'll be back
of the year. She's Michaela Ian. I'm Jamel Hartman. Make it a great day.